very good afternoon. Thank you, organizing committee, for providing this opportunity to speak on the subject. I am Sanjukta Subudhi, a subject expert in microbiology. I am from the Energy and Resources Institute. This really gives a pleasure to speak on the subject where we look forward for exploring for any energy, the resources that India can make use of or produce and use of domestically. The Energy and Resources Institute is a 50-year-old think tank. To meet the net zero goal of India, some of the verticals that at TERI, we are focusing on all spheres, that is on climate, air, water, renewable energy, and the biofuel. I'm leading this biofuel vertical. As you heard that biofuel is a very broad term. Biofuel means fuel, any fuel that can be produced from renewable sources. It can be of liquid gases, liquid form, it can be of the gaseous form. The more important part is that the characteristics of this biofuel actually they mimic the properties of the conventional fuel that we are already using it. But the potential of large-scale usage of this biofuel on multiple and diverse sectors is being realized just recently, 1 or 2 decades back. So when you say that when you say the liquid biofuels, then are bioalcohols, that is the bioethanol and biobutanol. Since this session is focusing on bioethanol and biodiesel, so I will be focusing more on that and how the policy took a lead role in developing the technologies and addressing the challenges and creating a supply line and also offtake for adoption of this fuel in multiple sectors. So when you see this liquid biofuels, bioethanol is a bioalcohol. Similarly, biobutanol is also another liquid biofuel, which is not oil-based, but biodiesel is oil-based. When you say that, these fuels can be produced biologically, biotechnologically from bioresources, but those bioresources are little different. When you say the bioalcohols, then we look at for use of raw materials. I would like to focus here why it is very core important to focus on the raw materials and the feed. In the interest of time, I will just focus to link it. It is always essential to map the pathway. One is the raw material, and then the technology, and then the offtake. Why? Because for biologically, we know that it can be produced under at ambient pressure and ambient temperature. The operation cost is less. More of the cost is focusing on the raw material, that is the input raw material. So it is very much essential to map the pathway, which raw material, which feedstock is pretty good to divert for what type of biofuel production. Madam Jaiswal has already very clearly, very well, she has deliberated the cost efficacy enhancement, why it is core important for a biogas. Because the whole game is the raw material. Why? In biologically, the microorganisms, they play a key role. And in all these microorganisms, they have certain enzymes. Those enzymes attack on particular type of raw material. So it is essential to identify what type of microorganism is a good host. Maybe that microbe is not having a very good catalyst. So right from the beginning, from the scratch, it is very much essential to choose a particular type of microbe and divert. So, well, I will not go too technical, but like I said, bioethanol, biodiesel. Why? Because biofuel policy that was rolled out in 2003 basically initially focused on bioethanol and biodiesel. So more importantly, we know biofuels, bioethanol and biodiesel. But of course, going forward, India is taking a lead role on biogas and also going forward for biohydrogen. And the type of raw material we are using, like I mentioned, one is the carbohydrate-based raw material that we call, mostly we use that for production of bioalcohols like bioethanol and biobutanol. Biobutanol is a longer carbon chain bioalcohol. It has a higher energy density. I will come forward why it is not being commercially mature. And then the oil-based, when I say the biodiesel. If you see the right top, the flow chart shows that the pathways. For example, biodiesel we can produce biologically, use the raw materials and then take it, it's an integration process for the thermocatalytic way. But the same oil-based feed can be diverted for production of bio-oil through the thermocatalytic way. That is the pyrolytic route. And similarly, bioethanol and biobutanol, then the going for the gaseous biofuels. As you can see the policy, why it is very much important to understand in at an appropriate time. In 2003, realizing the generation of the huge raw materials, the bioresources, the Indian government has taken a very key role in rolling out of, that is ad hoc rolling out of 2000 in the policy that did not mandate to go for the blending of biofuel, but that is rolled out to go for the potential for blending of the bioethanol by 5% and then the biodiesel by 1%. By doing that, it could take a great shape or in identifying the challenges, and the specific task forces were established, programs were created, so that what are the current technologies are available globally in India, what are the challenges. Going forward in 2009, this policy took another step that we call it National Biofuel Policy, that was advocating for production of bioethanol mostly from the molasses and sugarcane molasses, and also biodiesel from the, that time the use of input raw material, we did not segregate what is first generation and second generation. First generation means those raw material we use, which we do consider for that competing for the food. So we call it first generation or the edible. And then the second generation, for the ease of convenience of understanding, this is termed as second generation, means not non-edible, the biomass. And then realizing the huge resources of availability of these agriculture residues, the forestry residues, this biofuel policy, the extended version of National Biofuel Policy was rolled out in 2018. This has taken a very crucial role in diversifying the use of the diverse raw materials, be it molasses, B grade, C grade, because if we say molasses, that also contains use fraction around 50% of carbohydrate fractions, like mostly the sucrose. And then going forward, parallelly the R&D activities were undertaken in a very proactive manner, so that the technologies will be developed from the bioethanol production from the agriculture residues. There it is also one of the important factor. What in a layman understanding we would like to focus, when we call it agriculture, then we need to understand what is the composition. It is a lignin, and carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is the cellulose and hemicellulose. The point that I would like to make it clear, the microbe which can eat very well the molasses cannot eat directly the agriculture residues. That's why research and development activities were very proactively focused to develop a process for pre-treatment of lignin-based biomass and identify some microbe that can use these pentose and hexose, so the cost efficacy can be addressed. By doing that, the cost of the process can be reduced by identifying the type of microbe. As you can see the right side, the ethanol blending program, how stage-wise the activities or the initiatives were proactively undertaken by the Government of India that could play a key role in making bioethanol as one of the significant fraction of India's renewable biomolecule, the renewable basket molecule. If you see, globally, US is producing highest amount of bioethanol, and then Brazil, and India is in number 4. It is a 4% of the total biofuel production capacity. And going forward, the biodiesel, when you say, the technologies for biodiesel was pretty well matured, but one of the constant is that even though the policy that was rolled out for blending of 5% biodiesel, but till now India is not able to meet the target around 1% or so. It's not because of the technology immaturity. It is very well established, but the concern is the availability of the raw materials. That's why that The latest, the biofuel policy, where that highlights on use of further diversification of oil-based feed, that one of the core focus is used cooking oil. Any material that is the oil-based feed that can be diverted for, as you can see here. So algae biomass, we call it is a third generation biomass, because for the years of understanding, there are the different terminologies of these raw materials, so that one can connect it. In the recently, when you go for the carbon credit, then this second generation and third generation biofuels will play a key role in that segment. And another factor I would like to focus here, the role of these biomolecules, especially this bioethanol, because the initiatives, those were undertaken by the government of India way back in 2003, and proactively it came into the factor by after 2010 and 13. You can see the significant enhancement of this production and how these biomolecules are contributing to enhance the country's bioeconomy. If you see this sector, the bio-industrial segment, which is mostly, bioethanol is one of the core component of this bio-industrial segment, that could enhance significantly by 16-fold. So all these could be, the due credit was given by for the initiative of the government, you can see, but there is further much more potential to take these segments ahead. How? One is this diversification of feed and establishing the supply chain, and then the creating the offtake, and also identify, maybe there are several other pathways where this bioethanol can be taken up, or it can create to ensure the offtake for the other industries. Like I said, because for greener tomorrow, would like to focus here. So we were focusing on bioethanol for blending with biogasoline for the road transport, because the characteristics of bioethanol, they mimic with the gasoline. That's why the blending was initially targeted for the road transport. So the blending target started, India was aiming to achieve this 20% blending target by 2030, but because of these other initiatives, feedstock diversification, establishment of huge distilleries, and all those facilities could significantly contribute for enhancement of this ethanol. So the 5 years before India could meet this target. But we can see way back in 2003 or 4 onwards, the activities those were undertaken collectively by the industry, by the academia, by the government of India, that could play a key role. So for any section, any product, any new biomolecule, similar such activities needs to be collectively undertaken. As you can see here, now currently this bioethanol is gaining momentum for use as a precursor molecule for aviation sector, as a sustainable aviation fuel. Because when we aim at achieving the net zero goal, all the segments, all the sectors must look at it, how to adopt these green molecules. The aviation sector is widely using these long chain hydrocarbon molecules, where these biomolecules, especially bioethanol and biodiesel, they are a very good precursor molecule, and they can be converted to the long chain carbon molecules to meet the characteristics of the aviation sector. And one more sector, maritime, we haven't yet talked of. See, the entire, the transport globally, the huge transport, all these molecules we are doing by using this maritime transportation sector. When we aim at meeting this net zero goal, then each sector should see the pros and cons, and also look for adopting these greener molecules. Then very recently, of course, these molecules are gaining momentum to use for the clean cooking. As you can see here, aviation sector, and for any molecule, one of the more important aspect here, one is the making the feed availability. See the technological maturity and the scalability, cost of the process, but it will not come into the play unless we establish a standard. So, because aviation sector, ASTM is the global certification body. So there are 7 pathways, those are being certified by the ASTM, where the input So where the input molecules can be, those were certified. So under alcohol to jet pathway, ethanol is gaining momentum as a precursor molecule, because India is being seen as a global SAP producer because of the availability of the large amount of biomass. So, and these are the pathway. I will not go too technical in the interest of time. In the And then ethanol can also be a very good biomolecule for clean cooking, because that can also help in creating more job and diverting this molecule for the cleaner cooking. Currently, the rural segment, they are suffering a lot because of the inadequate supply of the LPG. So you can see that how we can, the LPG, the clean cooking is going up, especially in the urban sector. So ethanol can also be diverted for use as a cleaner molecule for the maritime sector. Similarly, the global maritime sector is aiming at adopting the greener molecules. They have prepared a mid-term, short-term, and a long-term goal. In the short-term goal, by 2030, biofuels are gaining momentum to use as a drop-in biofuel. So as you can see, currently they are mostly using the diesel-based marine diesel oil, marine gaseous oil. So Director General of Shipping, and I'm under this MOPSW umbrella, they have taken the initiatives to adopt and do some case studies. TERI has taken a very key role in adopting these biodiesel-based molecules to do some case studies in collaboration with the DGS, supported by MOPSW. So biodiesel is gaining momentum. So what I would like to highlight here that just a key, I would like to focus here to a National Center of Excellence in Green Shipping was established at TERI. Under that umbrella, TERI, in collaboration with the Ministry of Shipping and the ports, taking proactive role in adopting these greener molecules. Under this segment, TERI did some case studies in collaboration with the shipping industry, Sambuja Shipping Services Limited, and also Great Eastern Shipping, where the ships were run by blending this biodiesel with different fraction of marine fuel. And based on those case studies, a standard was harmonized. Now, based on this standard, now Director General of Shipping has already implemented the bunkering guideline, as you can see here. Because maritime sector, we would like to focus. I'm not able to move this. Sorry. Anyway, I would like to focus here. So the adoption of any molecule, it is very much essential to harmonize the standard. So now the standard for biodiesel blending with the marine fuel is in place already. And based on the standard, Director General of Shipping has rolled out the bunkering guideline for biofuel. And going forward now, the bioethanol and biobutanol are being explored. They have also potential to blend with the marine fuel, if not up to that percent that the biodiesel, FEM biodiesel can go for 100% blending, 100% usage. But bioalcohols cannot be taken up to that percentage, but it can be explored within 10%, meeting the criteria for the flash point. So if you see the quantum of fuel requirement in the maritime sector, even though we go for the 5%, you see the quantum of bioethanol that can see the light of the day for implication over there. But the studies are in progress, but the case studies needs to be done. Their impact, their blended fuel study impact on the engines needs to be monitored, based on which then these studies can be submitted to BIS. So TERI is taking those studies very actively under this National Center of Excellence. In the interest of time, I'd like to stop here, but I would like to focus at TERI. Under this biofuel and biochemical vertical, we are very extensively working on technology development and demonstration for all type of biofuels in a biorefinery mode. So I'm happy to take any queries in case any is there. Because in the interest of time, I would like to stop my talk here. Thank you.